We have our Carter Evans standing by. Carter, you've been listening in as the officials there at first decided they were not going to answer questions, then decided to come back and give some more information. We did hear from the LA police chief who gave a little bit more specifics in the way of, details regarding this threat, that there were specific details, he said, regarding assault rifles, bombs. Tell us a little bit more about what he said and also what you make of sort of what's been happening today on both coasts.
I think to anyone listening to these news conference occurring here, or the tone of it is certainly defensive of the decisions that were made today, and also making clear who made that decision.
Absolutely.
That it was up to the superintendent to make this decision, and no one else is going to take responsibility for it. They're saying that it was a tough decision to make. It had to be made in a short period of time. It affected 750,000 students and potentially their safety. Many more parents and employers and a number of people. But you point out, and I think rightly so, that Chief Beck appeared to be taking a swipe at those who would criticize the decision that was made. And let's listen into that now.
The superintendent made a decision. We support his decision, as does the mayor. I would say this to people that are critical. It is very easy, in hindsight, to criticize a decision based on results that the decider could never have known. It is also very easy to criticize a decision when you have no responsibility for the outcome of that decision. The school district safeguards 750,000 lives every day. When they make a decision, they have to take into account the safety of the children of Los Angeles.
Chief of the Los Angeles Police Department talking about the importance of the decision that was made to close the schools, but again, confirming that it was not his decision to make, that he does, however, support it. He did give more details, specific details about the threat that was made. He said it was made specifically to Los Angeles Unified School District campuses, that the threat involved explosives, assault rifles. He said the original document, the email, was routed through Germany, but they believe that it originated a lot closer to home than Germany. He says that he gave the district his best advice, and the district went ahead and made the decision to close all of the schools. They are still vetting this threat right now. It's important to note, now that we know more details about the specifics of this threat that was made, how similar it is to the threat that was made to New York City schools as well this morning. And let's listen into what Chief Bill Bratton had to say about that.
We'll reaffirm that we do have an investigation underway, but it's an investigation into a hoax, which we strongly believe that the email that was received in New York City, which is similar and almost exactly the same as received in other locales, specifically Los Angeles, that we do not see that as a credible terrorist threat, and we are investigating it as a hoax. We believe that the email originated overseas. The language in the email would lead us to believe that this is not a jihadist initiative. For example, that Allah was not spelled with a capital A. That would be incredible to think that any jihadist would not spell Allah with a capital A. That just as an example of this. Again, we received a superintendent in our school system received a threat earlier this morning that was conveyed to New York City police officials, and we began an immediate investigation into it in cooperation with the Joint Terrorist Task Force, our FBI colleagues. We have been in contact with the Los Angeles Police Department, a department I'm very familiar with, and a school system I'm very familiar with. It appears as of this time that the school system out there acted on their own without consultation with local law enforcement authorities. And my understanding is they may have shut down their schools for the day. We see no need whatsoever to take that action here in New York City. That we do believe our preliminary investigation that this is in fact a hoax, and we'll investigate it as such.
So this is truly a tale of two cities and their reaction to, at the very least, a similar threat, if not the exact same threat that was made to city school districts today. New York City choosing to name this a hoax and that it is not credible. Los Angeles Unified School District choosing to close all schools, going the opposite direction, of course, keeping in mind and highlighting the attacks that happened in San Bernardino less than 2 weeks ago.
Carter, you know, it's interesting, and one of the points that Commissioner Bratton made that I sort of want to hone in on, and as we were listening to the press conference from L.A., I think a lot of Americans would be surprised to know that the Los Angeles School District has its own police force with its own police chief, and I thought it was interesting that Commissioner Bratton in New York saying that when they received here in New York City the threat, the schools, along with the police department, consulted with the Joint Terrorism Task Force and the FBI, and then made the decision to keep the schools open, and then made the decision that the threat was a hoax. Whereas, as you pointed out, and as Commissioner Bratton in New York pointed out, the decision to close the schools was made apparently by the school superintendent. And as everybody on that podium seemed to be indicating, as they pointed the finger, although they said they supported the decision, pointed the finger to the school superintendent. So what is this police force that the schools in LA have?
Well, this is a very large school district. It's the second largest in the country. It covers 720 square miles. Police Chief Beck says they're responsible for 750,000 students. It is a tremendous number of people. We're talking about more than 900 schools. In addition to that, another 180 charter schools. So these are a lot of schools to keep track of and a lot of students to keep track of. And it's over such a large area, it would be quite taxing to have the city police department keep watch on the schools full time, as it is necessary in this community and in this day and age. So the LAUSD has its own law enforcement department, and the school superintendent confirmed that he did speak with the chief of that department before making the decision that he made this morning in a very quick period of time, because keep in mind, all of these students were preparing, if not already headed to school. So if they had held back another 30 minutes or so, it would have been too late. There would have been 750,000 students surrounding these schools, and it may have been difficult had this threat turned out to be credible, and they're still vetting that fact right now.
All right.
And I guess, sorry, Elaine, the question, I guess, so that we are hopefully going to hear at some point, we're told that there's going to be 30-minute updates from the communications person there, perhaps shedding a little bit more insight into exactly beyond just the decision that was made when they think that the schools will be opened again. Carter, I mean, given the size and scope of this search, the size of the school district, do you expect the schools to be open tomorrow?
Well, you know, they said they were going to search every school. That's the information that we're going on right now. They were talking about bomb-sniffing dogs. There are a lot of rooms in a lot of schools. We're talking about more than 1,000 schools, all of those lockers, more than 750,000 students. That is a big area to search. But there has been no indication that they're backing down off that right now. That search is still going forward. We're going to get these updates throughout the day. But it would be hard to imagine, and I've heard many law enforcement experts say this already this morning, it would be hard to imagine that if they did continue with this all schools, all out search, it would be hard to imagine that they could complete that in one day.
All right, and Carter, as you were speaking, I was just looking at the website here for the Los Angeles School Police Department. For people who are wondering, on its website it says it is the largest independent school police department in the United States, with more than 350 sworn police officers, 126 non-sworn school safety officers, and 34 civilian support staff. It is the 5th largest police department in Los Angeles County, so quite a sizable police force, as you were saying, to cover all of those schools in the LA Unified School District. Carter Evans, we thank you so much for your reporting there from Los Angeles. Carter, thank you.